Bonjour, mes amis, we are back. And we have some wonderful sampling for you yet today. We are going to be sampling some Burgundy and some beer and some spirits. That ought to lift your spirits so that you can give a huge round of applause to Joe Kane, General Manager, let's get that out. I honestly haven't had any. You can testify to that. I'm just doing perfect so far, great. General Manager and Certified Sommelier for the Chef's Table Milwaukee. Big round of applause. Let's get it really big. All right. Okay. Merci beaucoup. Bonjour, Joe. And take it away.
Merci beaucoup. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed the previous cooking class. It was really informative, but now we're going to talk about some wine, which is what hopefully a lot of you people are here to listen about. To tell you just briefly about myself, my name is Joseph Kane. I work as a manager and a sommelier at a restaurant called Chef's Table, which is in the Walker's Point area of Milwaukee, and it is a private dining facility. And I work hand in hand with my chef David, and we do primarily private events and cooking classes and wine dinners. So if you're looking for anything along those lines, I'll have business cards here, and I'd love to have you in and I'll pour you a glass of French wine, and we'll show you the space. But enough about me. The reason why we're here today is to talk about French wine. My duty to you today is to talk about a region that is called Burgundy in France. Show of hands, anybody familiar with Burgundy in the crowd? Yeah, some of you? Some of you are more familiar with Ron Burgundy than actual Burgundy region of France, is that true? Okay, good. So Burgundy, in my opinion, when I was asked to talk about it, I'm like, how do I do this in half an hour? It's really, it can be a complicated area because there's so many like fractured vineyards and there's a lot that goes into it and the prices can get really, really high. But when you think about it, there's only two grapes that we're talking about, and one is Pinot Noir for red wine and one is Chardonnay for white wine, which I'm sure a lot of you have had and are a little bit familiar with. So I'll get into a little bit more detail in a few moments about those two grapes. But first of all, show of hands, who's intimidated by French wine? Come on. I'm intimidated by French wine. I'm a certified sommelier. It's a little bit challenging when you go to a wine store and you're like, okay, I'm used to drinking California wine and I want to try a French red or white. The reason why is you go there and they don't list the grape on the label. What they list is the village where that grape is grown. And there's a reason behind it. It's not just to confuse ladies and gentlemen. It's to kind of have like a sense of that region. Okay, so it takes a little bit of research to kind of find out what that region's all about. But by doing so, you can get a really, really good glass of wine. So for me with Burgundy, and you seem like really nice people, and I hate to do this to you, but I got to give you a brief history lesson. The reason why is that if you think about it, like let's take like Napa Valley. They've been growing wine there since like the mid 1800s. There's a lot of really good Pinot Noir being made in Oregon right now. They started doing that in like the 1970s. They've been making wine in Burgundy for over 2,000 years. Okay, so 5 minutes, just brief history lesson about that. So after the fall of Rome, there was Germanic barbarian tribes that occupied the area, and they were like foraging for food in the woods, and they find these grapevines that are just going wild. And they grabbed them and planted them and started making wine. And within the Dark Ages, the rise of the Catholic Church took hold, and now these vineyards were transferred over to Benedictine monks that took over with cultivating the vine and making these wines, and taking notes and passing along to other people. And there was actually landowners at that time that might have been sick and they were on their deathbeds, and they, in interest to get into heaven, donated the land to the Benedictine monks. It's worth a shot, right? Like, why not? Give it a go, right? What's the worst that can happen? You don't give in. So they get more and more land in Burgundy, and they're really taking these notes, and they're going Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So all they did was,
I'm going to hold your hand.
Can you hear me back there okay? A little better? Okay. Cool. Hey, there she is. So what they did basically is they prayed, they cultivated the vineyards, and they were allotted a quarter liter of wine per day, which equates to about 2 glasses of wine. Now, me personally, if I'm running vineyards and I get only 2 glasses of wine, I'm having that done by breakfast. But Benedictine monks, they stretched that out for the whole day. They led way to the Cistercian monks that kind of kept on cultivating the wine and things like that. And then that kind of led to why we're here today is the French Revolution. So what had happened is that they basically seized all these vineyard plots and then they auctioned them off. So now people were, with new money are buying these land plots and they're acquiring this land and they're basically hiring other people to work the vineyards. Fast forward like maybe 20 years and we get into Napoleon Bonaparte, who issued his Napoleonic Code, which said that any of the vineyards that if you have somebody that passes away, that's an owner, gets dispersed equally among their heirs. So now you're taking this huge vineyard plot that was once one owner, and now there is a multitude of different owners. So that's where kind of we start to get confused about Burgundian wine, because there's all these different vineyard plots of ownership. So with that being said, anytime you guys are ready, because I bored them with this history lesson, you can go ahead with the wine and I'll kind of describe what you're drinking. Yes ma'am.
I just want to say something about our volunteers before I forget, because we have terrific volunteers. We had Tony Spot here earlier. She had to move along. And we have Barb, and we have Sean, and we have Richard and Gail. I want to thank them for coming down here, giving their time, and making our life so much easier, because I can tell you it ain't fun to come up to a stage and try and get a glass of wine. So please be very patient with our wonderful volunteers. They're going to get out too. We got plenty of samples. And please be nice, because they're nice. Merci beaucoup.
They're working hard to get you that wine as soon as possible, and once you get your wine, then hopefully I'll get some of mine. So with that being said, I kind of confused you a little bit about like the breakdown of like why vineyards are like that in Burgundy, but it's kind of important to talk about. The next thing is like we have all these vineyard sites that are broken up, and it's like how do we classify them? Because the French have to classify everything. Like we got to put it in order from. Thank you. Cheers. We got to go from like just taking a pyramid and going from like the base of the pyramid all the way up. Okay, so I'm going to try to make it easy for you to understand, but it is complicated. And understand what I'm talking about right now today, it takes people almost a lifetime to fully grasp. So it can be a little challenging. At least we got free wine today, that makes up for it. So if you kind of envision like a pyramid, we have the base of these vineyards, which are they're classified as Bourgogne, which means Burgundy in French. And these are basically large vineyard sites that are kind of on the outskirts of town, near the forest, where they're just kind of like a little bit more declassified. A lot of grapes being grown there, and they make kind of like your basic entry-level Burgundy wine, which if you ever go shopping at a store, it's pretty easy for you to find. So it'll say Bourgogne, and it'll say Pinot Noir or Chardonnay, so it's really approachable for a consumer. And you're probably spending about $20 for that bottle, although it might be more than what you're used to spending. You're getting a pretty solid bottle of wine right there. The next step up is what we call village level, or village level if you're fancy. And this gets a little bit more classified. It's kind of getting a more sense of that area of what the wines are tasting. Now we're going to ramp it up a notch and get to the next level up in the pyramid, which is called Premier Cru. Has anybody ever heard of any Premier Cru wines? A couple of shows of hands out there. All right, so we're kind of stepping it up a notch here. Price is escalating, but so is quality. Like you're just getting a better quality wine. And how are you going to know if it's Premier Cru on the label? It'll actually say a 1 with an ER. It'll say, it looks like Oner Cru, but it's actually Premier Cru. And then it'll have a name of that vineyard site. So you're kind of like, okay, I'm getting a little bit more into it, spending some more money, wine's getting better. And then at the top of the pyramid, we got Grand Cru, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Grand Cru. Some of the most expensive bottles of wine in the world are classified as Grand Cru vineyards and creme de la creme, okay? So I just took a really complicated thing and I'm gonna try to explain it a little bit easier, okay? So let's say we take we're gonna take an agricultural product that I think a lot of you have tried to grow. Let's take tomato plants, for instance. Everybody try to grow tomato plants at a point in their life? So let's take the whole downtown area of Milwaukee and we're growing tomato plants, okay? And that's gonna be kind of like our Bourgogne wine, okay? Some of them are gonna ripen really well and be delicious. Other tomatoes are gonna be so-so because they don't get the right sunlight, wind exposure, drainage, stuff like that. So we're gonna make a pretty good tomato, a combination of tomatoes out of that. Then let's take Easttown area of Milwaukee. Easttown of Milwaukee, we've got a smaller area to deal with. Our tomato plants are getting a little bit better. Like their tomatoes are ripening more, we're getting better sun exposure, stuff like that. Now we're gonna take Cathedral Square, all right? And now this is Premier Cru. Now we can really concentrate our efforts on a small area of land to really grow some rockstar tomato plants. Now we're just gonna take this area where we're seated right now, and that's gonna be our Grand Cru. Okay, so now we have enough time and enough labor to make the best possible tomato plants that we can imagine, and those are our Grand Cru tomato plants. Does that kind of help make sense of that whole convoluted hierarchy? Cool. All right. Hopefully we got some wine going around, and we're going to talk a little bit about some regions of Burgundy, which is going to be kind of cool, but it's hard if I don't have the exact wines to taste well. So a lot of you have a red wine and a white wine in front of you. Okay, so as you can imagine, red wine is going to be Pinot Noir, and the white is going to be a Chardonnay. The white wine is from a southern portion of Burgundy that's called Macon Village, which for me produces some really easy to drink, enjoyable Chardonnay. And the Pinot Noir that you're drinking is a Bourgogne, like we talked about earlier, which again is really nice, it's elegant on the palate, goes with a lot of different kinds of foods. One more thing before I talk about the different regions of Burgundy is there's a kind of within the structure, when we go back to these different vineyard sites, as you can imagine, some people got a good amount to grow their grapes, and other people got kind of, screwed over, and just got a really small plot of land where they really couldn't grow grapes to the extent where they can bottle wine. So what they would do then is they would sell that wine to somebody that has the means, the cash flow, and the facilities to make that wine. And this is where the term negociant comes. So there's two different terms in Burgundy and actually in Champagne and California that are called negociants and domains. So a domain is somebody that will grow the grapes and make the wine at their house, and that's called a domain. And they're usually really, really good. There's a lot of love that goes into it, and it can be fabulous wines. Now, if that person doesn't have the means to do that, what they're going to do is sell the grapes or the grape juice to a negotiator, which is a negociant. So they negotiate prices, they negotiate how much they're going to bring in, and they're going to take that wine and make it at their facilities. So really popular in Burgundy, also in Champagne and California, where I'm sure a lot of you drink Napa Valley Cab. So with that being said, we're going to kind of go into the region of Burgundy itself. So there's a main region of Burgundy, and then there's about 4 other ones. So I'm going to go from north to south. So we're going to start with the very north region, which is called Chablis. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard the term Chablis before and kind of think of this giant California jug wine from the 70s and 80s that says Chablis on it. That's not what I'm talking about today. It's actually a region in France that, in my opinion, produces some of the best Chardonnay that you can find in the world. But it's going to be a little bit different than what we're accustomed to with those really rich and buttery Chardonnays from California. It's a little bit more restrained. The reason being is that the temperature is just a little bit cooler, so the grapes don't ripen. Just if your backyard, if you got a cool summer, your tomato plants don't ripen. It's the same thing with the grapes. It's an agricultural product. So, in my opinion, I think it's really nice because it's a little bit more restrained, a little bit more tart, really good with seafood, awesome with chicken, really versatile at the table. And I think bang for your buck, if you're shopping for Chablis Chardonnay, you're doing a great job. So we're going to go just one step south from there, and we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the region of Burgundy, which is called the Côte d'Or, which means the Golden Slopes, which I think they call it how much money it costs to buy the wine. The Côte d'Or is separated, again, some more, 2 different regions. Okay, one is called the Côte de Nuit. The other one is called the Côte de Beaune. So we're going to start with the Côte de Nuit, which, if you ever hear stories about bottles of wine costing hundreds and thousands of dollars, this is the region where they're from. Now, there's some wine that you can buy there that's going to cost you about $20, $30 a bottle retail, and it's really good wine. But if you are a millionaire, or you'd rather have a bottle of wine than a used Cadillac, then you can buy a $20,000 bottle of wine from Burgundy in the Côte de Nuit. Well, thank you for a ride. You're right, sir. Absolutely right. Excuse me 1 second. Very good. Thank you. So the wine that I'm talking about is called Domaine de la Romani Conti, and it's from the best vineyard site that many consider throughout the world. And as long as I'm in the wine business, my goal is to try to drink that wine sometime in my life, and I probably will. But anyways, there's a lot of really good value in that region. Some really cool stuff that they're doing. Primarily just Pinot Noir, really no white wine. If we take a step south from there, now we're in the Côte de Beaune, which makes both red and white wine and actually some sparkling. But the rock star of that region is going to be their Chardonnay. And in my opinion, it's the best region in the world that you're going to find Chardonnay. It's produced at its finest. There's nothing to take away from California and Oregon and other places like Australia, where they're doing some really cool stuff for Chardonnay. But in my opinion, Côte de Beaune in regions that, if you see a label that says Montrachet, I pronounce it Montrachet and Francais, but just top of the line Chardonnay. Now, if you go a little bit north in that region, there is a Grand Cru vineyard site that's called Corton, and there's another vineyard site in there called Corton Charlemagne, which is actually named after the Frankish king King Charlemagne. And the reason why is that he was traveling through the hills and the vineyards, and he was a lover of wine, and he noticed these south-facing hills that where the snow melted first. And he's like, that's where I want to grow my wine. So he was drinking red wine at the time, was a little bit older, and his white beard is starting to get stained with red wine, and his wife hates it. So his wife makes him switch to white wine. So in that area now, they make Rockstar Chardonnay. Kind of a cool story. I love it. It's great. So I kind of went through it a little bit fast, but if you see a bottle of wine that says Côte d'Or, you know, that's Burgundy in its finest. Going south from there, there's a region that's called the Côte Chalonnaise, which is making primarily Chardonnay, but really some kind of cool stuff. One grape dessert. You good? Okay. Another grape that's called Aligoté or Aligoté, really kind of a nice, kind of like really dry white wine, really good for food. Just south of there is a region that's called the Macon, the Macanaise, which is the white wine that you're trying right now, and that's a Macon Village. So if you kind of picture that hierarchy that I was saying earlier, it's getting kind of like middle of tier. It's not Premier Cru or Grand Cru, but it's just below that, and really a pretty nice drinking Chardonnay. Like I'm okay with it. I think it's pretty good. It goes with a lot of different stuff. You know, I think it's okay. Just going south from there is actually probably my all-time, one of my favorite wine regions in the world, and that's Beaujolais. Thank you. So I'm sure that some of you have heard of Beaujolais and you think of like, oh, that's a wine that's called Beaujolais Nouveau, and that's released a couple weeks after the harvest, and it's really light and fruity. Yes, that is true. They were producing wine like that since the 1950s, and you know, really light, kind of coiffer wine. It's good, but now we're going to do that hierarchy thing again, and we're going to get the Beaujolais and Beaujolais Village. Now this isn't Pinot Noir. This is a grape that's called Gamay, and Gamay was actually ordered to be ripped up in other parts of Burgundy because it was considered a peasant grape to be planted in Beaujolais. I'm here to tell you right now that, you know, a lot of fantastic stuff in Burgundy. Beaujolais, bang for your buck, is one of my all-time favorite wines in the world for sure. When you're out on a picnic and you have like your checkered blanket and your picnic basket with your sandwiches and you picture a bottle of wine, in my opinion, it's Beaujolais. And you get to a higher level, which is called Cru Beaujolais, which they have these 10 kind of hillsides that are named after the towns. It can get a little bit confusing, but if you do a little bit of work to kind of investigate some of that wine, there's some awesome Rockstar vintages recently, and the wine you can find retail, which depending on what you want to spend, it can be $20 to $30 a bottle, but in my consideration, it drinks better than Pinot Noir that's twice as expensive from Burgundy. I think it's absolutely awesome. So I know that I laid a lot on you in a short period of time, and I talk fast, I'm nervous up here, but hopefully it kind of helped you understand Burgundy, and don't be intimidated when you go to the wine store. Remember, you can always download different apps, and hopefully there's somebody at that store when you're there that's trying to buy a bottle of French wine. Hey, I want to check out Burgundy. It's only going to be Pinot Noir or Chardonnay, maybe Gamay, and just do a calculated gamble, get a bottle, and crack it open and enjoy. All right. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup to Joe Kane from the Chef's Table Milwaukee. I think we can get a little more heat going there. Come on, let's go. Woo! Yeah, thank you so much. And Joe, don't go away yet. We have a little something for you here from Bastille days. It is our French Bulldoggie for you with your name on it for you to take home with you and put it on your wall because we love that French Bulldoggie. Bonjour.
Merci beaucoup, mademoiselle.
Merci. Merci beaucoup. And we are going to be going on to some beer sampling, so please stay put. And as we do